and welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Renovators, the business advisory show for real estate professionals. I'm Chanel and this is Rex. Rexy.
You never say how are you, Rex.
Well, I've been told not to ask that question anymore, so I just, by you, had last season.
I don't remember this. I'm excited. I'm really excited. We're going to have an amazing guest today. It's going to talk about his journey, and it's an incredible journey. It's a guy who has grown a rent roll from 600 to 2,700. He took his sales business from $60 to $600,000 per month to a $10 million business. He talks about the struggles he went through with that. It's a very raw and candid
I think it's a
interview.
big life lesson as well.
It really is, and you don't often hear directors of this successful be so raw and honest about it. It took some time off out of the industry as a result of it, and has come back with,
Funnily enough, Rexy, and I'm not sure if he remembers this, but when I first started Titanium as a young girl, very eager to get out there into the world, and struggled to be taken seriously a lot of the time, particularly at the age that I was. And this individual was someone that sat down with me many years ago in his Essendon office and said, "I believe in you." Was one of the very first people, the second person actually, to sign my terms of business and say, "I will back you and I believe in you." And I owe a lot to him, more so for the confidence than anything, but allowing me to feel as though I was able to achieve something fantastic. And I think it's a credit to him and what he's been able to create over the years as well.
That's the kind of individual he is, though.
He definitely is. I'll allow you to introduce him, Rex.
You can introduce him.
Mr. Milo Rasinac. How are you, Milo?
Good. Hi, guys. How are
Welcome,
you, Chanel?
Milo.
Rex. Thank you.
Thank you for taking your time out of your very busy schedule for your new ventures to join us. Can we start with your career? I probably did not a great summary of my understanding of it, but you can provide us how it all started.
Yes, I just needed to take a deep breath there because it seems, in some ways it seems like it was yesterday, but in others it was like 50 or 60 years ago. But in particular it was 30 years ago. I'd left school at a young age of 15 and a half, 16, and got straight into the workforce. I think I just wanted to work, I wanted to earn money. And that was the upbringing from mum and dad, blue collar workers, grandparents. Granddad was a wharfie back in the early days when he came to the country in 1952 or 53.
Serbian?
So, yes, indeed. Yeah, that's the back. That is the background.
Similar to my co-host.
But I was sort of born, certainly born here, and with the support of my parents, I wasn't, very articulate, if you like, and didn't want to stay at school much longer, so I just wanted to work. So I got into the workplace environment, and the industry was transport and logistics. So I started off as a casual and worked my way up as a forklift driver and leading hand.
Milo, the forklift driver.
Yeah, indeed.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, and I actually missed that role too. I do. But eventually got to pretty top level management and responsible for about 300 staff. And
wow. How old were you at this stage?
I think that role was from 24 till 30.
Wow.
So for a young person, there was a lot of responsibility. And it was at the age of, just almost turning 30. Had a newborn, Stefan was born, and he was only 6 or 7 months at the time. And I
300 staff,
Yeah, it was 300 staff. And trucks, that we had to keep maintenance of. So that caused me to hit a wall. I absolutely got very ill and had ulcers in the esophagus and lost a lot of weight. Almost needed a pretty serious...
From the stress?
That's what it was, yeah. It was certainly stress. I wasn't eating. I was starting at 5 in the morning, working straight through, sometimes till midnight.
Wow.
It was just crazy. I just loved work and loved the industry, very fast paced. But, a couple of visits to the doctor, and they rarely do this, but he said, "You must stop. You must stop if you want to live." So I did. Got finally, the ulcers were starting to heal, and I was able to get back into the workplace. And it was one of two industries, either the police force or real estate. I watched an old...
Very different industries. And different from where you came from as well.
I don't know why it was those two that I chose. And back then, to enter the police force, it was, I think, 12 months in Glen Waverley. And I thought, well, that's not 12 months, I'm not so sure. Real estate was a few days course.
And still is in some states.
And I really, having worked in a petrol station as a petrol attendant some years ago, I used to fuel the car up for one of the directors that I looked up to a lot, Peter Weeder, from Young's the Professionals at the time. And I thought, I want to be like him one day. So I thought I'll give real estate a go. And I went in and saw Pete, and Peter said, well, okay, geez. And I said, look, I'm looking to wind down a little bit. I hit a wall, and he laughed at me. He said, you want to get into real estate? Thinking that it was going to be harder than the transport role that I had and logistics. So long story short, Peter gave me an opportunity, and
So you were 30 at this stage.
I was
you
30.
weren't a young recruiter
30.
necessarily. But.
Yeah, I was young, but I think already in the workforce for 14, 15 years, management experience. So, Pete gave me an opportunity that was in Essendon, Mount Alexander Road, and I picked up fairly good momentum the first few months. But at that time, I also came down with not shingles, but chicken pox.
Oh.
And it wasn't a good dose either. So I ended up in hospital for a few days, and came back. And my younger sister said to me, "How's the role going?" I thought, "I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this industry is for me." And just, I suppose, being open, absolutely and honest, which I always try to be. I just thought, this is just dog eat dog. There's no support. Everyone's at each other. There's really no camaraderie or team focus. It's kind of just everybody for themselves. And I thought, oh, gee, that's not what I'm used to, and the environment that I was used to. And I thought, oh, I'm not sure whether this will be for me. But, how did I survive? I suppose Peter decided 6 months in, and I was just about to get out of the industry and try the police force. Pete said, look, I'm selling out, I'm selling up. If you're interested, there could be an opportunity. And I thought, ooh, okay, this changes the game a little.
So 6 months into a real estate career, you're considering buying it.
6, 7 months in.
Wow.
Yeah, and only keen on that because I believed in the industry, and I could see the service that was being offered and the way, lots of directors, I suppose, manage their offices and their staff, and I thought there's an opportunity here. There is an opportunity. If I introduced my transport, totally customer service focused type of industry that it is, and that was drummed into us, brainwashed for customer service. And I thought, if I apply some of that in this industry, perhaps this is something that I can invest in and grow and develop something special. So that's what turned the corner for me. If Pete wasn't thinking of selling, then I would have been
a sergeant now or something instead.
Watch out. Who knows where I would have ended up. Yeah, so that began, and then Pete was already in talks with another group to buy his business out, and I stayed in that environment. And that's where the journey began. Peter, I think it was about 600 properties that he had on the rent roll. That was a fair investment.
Back then, at your age as well.
It was a big investment. Yeah, I was a bit. It was scary.
But you took that to 2,700.
Yeah, over 20 years.
But
21 years.
To talk about that kind of growth in any industry, how do you go about that?
Yeah, Rex, any advice, if you like, don't consider it advice, or my journey was not to look at, and still to today, is not to look at what the future holds in 5, 10, 15 years. It was, what we're doing today, and I just worried about one listing at a time, one landlord at a time, one vendor at a time. Build their trust, treat buyers and tenants the way we'd all like to be treated, and the business just grew. It became an attraction agency as well. So my biggest challenge was saying no to people that I thought could become really good agents, whether it be property management or sales, because we just couldn't put them all on. So we certainly become an attraction agent, I suppose, and
is there a trick to it though? Like, how do you go from such a small office, not just in property management, your sales business was a $10 million business only. It's a big office.
Sounds like there's a bit of a fire in the stomach somewhere, Milo, from going, from transport and logistics and what you did there from a young age to buying into building a mega office. There's a fire in there. Where is this coming from as well?
Well, yeah, where does it come from? I think it's just white line fever. You've either got that burning desire or you don't. And I'm a big believer of the open door policy. So my door's always open in management for staff. That's what I'm there for.
But there's more than that though, Milo. I feel like it's a common theme with individuals with immigrant parents as well, to some extent. Do you agree? When you have come from a family that have come from nothing and look at everything as an opportunity, something about them brings something to you. Like anything is possible.
Yes.
Make something out of nothing. Do you agree with that?
Yes, sure. Well, I suppose the ingredient there might be, I think of my beautiful parents and Mum in particular, and I'll share that story a bit later, but they were just humble, beautiful people.
Yeah.
So that's my blood. So introducing that into business naturally and not pretentiously, that certainly helps. Staff want to work for you. You lead by example. You're hardworking. Clients see that. Your staff see that. Your business just naturally
What advice would you
grows.
give? If viewers watching who've got agencies who are not at a $10 million mark or at a smaller marks and they're looking to do what you've accomplished in the past, where do you start? What do you do?
Well, Rex, and Chanell, it comes with sacrifice. So I think we all, as principals and directors and salesmen, we all want to achieve, and we all want to, have somebody that we can put on a pedestal and say, that's who I want to be like. I'm not sure if there were too many of those in my career that I looked up to and said, I want to be like you. There was many mentors, if you like, that I tapped on the shoulder at times, and I just picked up a little bit from them, a little bit from them, a little bit from them. But generally, I think it's being true to yourself and saying how much sacrifice do you want for success. Now, success for me, financially, that was a secondary thought to me. I came from a role where I was quite comfortable, had a company car and, certainly got, lots of lunches and lots of paid dinners. And, it was a lovely industry that way. And I got into real estate and earned less money straight away. But what I loved about it and still do today is, the customer interaction. So, and putting time into the job. The better you get, the more hours you need to work. The more hours you work, the more people want to deal with you. The more people that want to deal with you, the more hours you need to put in. So, my sacrifice was my family for work. And in many cases, I don't say this proudly, but, I chose to put, work first before my family. And, that's come at a sacrifice.
Certainly. A very successful business you built over the years, and then something happened, Milo. Was it burnout? Did you hit a wall? Can you talk us through what happened there?
Sure. With success, people look at it from the outside, and you'll get the haters and you'll get the lovers, and you'll get all different comments. But I try to stay away from that as much as I possibly can, and I think that's what helped me get to perhaps and our office and our team get to the success that we did at the time, because I remained humble. I'm not on social media. I try not to be involved with social media on the basis that I'm a sensitive kind of person. And for all the hard work that you put in, it only takes one person to make a comment that you think, that's just hurtful now. So that I choose not to be for pretty much that reason. I'm a very positive person. I don't watch the news. I don't read the paper, only the back section, not the front, because I'm not into bad news. I just want good news when I arrive and I come into work. So certainly along the journey, building the sales department where we did and the property management, juggling family, juggling friends, juggling this big juggernaut that it was, came at a cost. It only needed for something to happen in my life, like losing our mum 5 years ago, that was the turning point in my life. I questioned where I was. I questioned who I was. I didn't have that burning desire to achieve anymore because that a person that was so important in my life was no longer there. So that's when I started questioning the sacrifice that I endured over the 20 odd years to not have an opportunity, to say goodbye to Mum.
Very sorry to hear that.
So that was certainly the turning point. So I think I became a different person. I think all of a sudden I wanted to change, but that caused some issues. I suppose my staff, my team, my clients expected me to be there all the time, and I didn't want to be there as much anymore. I just wanted to grief in my way, and subsequently you can call it hit a wall, you can call it crash and burn. Thankfully I've come out of it the other end. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I can only imagine what you're going through at the time, being such a successful leader.
People don't talk about it enough though, the pressures you face as a business owner, but also having to put on that facade because you need your team are led by you. And when you are affected by something, it's very difficult to articulate that because you need to be strong all the time. And I see it a lot with directors. I have a lot of out of hours phone calls with them, and they're breaking down, but they have no one to go to, and it's really, really difficult. And thank you for speaking, Milo, because it's not easy to do that.
No, it's not. I suppose along the journey to being the caring, natural person that I am, that when your staff have got issues too, when we had we had a lot of disappointment, with illnesses and deaths and marital situations, and I was always there for the guys.
You're the rock.
So, you're carrying everybody else's burdens and stresses, and I feel that's what makes a great leader too, though. If I didn't care, that would be obvious, but that's why I think for a long period of time.
It comes as a cost, as you mentioned earlier. And
sure
if you had to do it again, would you do it differently?
I think about that at times when I go to bed, and I have no regrets.
It's not about regrets, is it? Something from learning?
Hindsight, yeah.
Well, here I'm, starting, a new journey, and I think I'm already applying those.
No.
I've burnt out once, I've burnt out twice, I may burn out again a third time, but
No.
I hope not. I hope not, but have I learnt anything? Perhaps not to care as much and just breathe and do my yoga in the morning, go for walks and be with positive people and people you want to be around. So I have learned some things along the way.
That's what's most important,
It
the
is.
people that you surround yourself with. What was that break like for you, Milo?
Fantastic.
Yeah?
I never would have thought that I would have had the break that I did. I would never have planned it. So sometimes things happen for a reason.
Certainly.
Quite often things happen for a reason. For me to take the break that I did, which was almost 4.5 years away from real estate in Essendon.
You went interstate.
Yeah, I
Port
did.
Douglas,
Yeah.
nice place to relax and recover.
Well, the first 6 months was...
And you started selling in Port Douglas. Couldn't help yourself.
I did. It was just, it was hard to get back into. The first 6 months I was kind of just lazing around, what I'm going to do with myself, and got through that period, and I thought, I said I'd never get back into real estate again. I meant that. I was so hungover. And for a year and a bit, I helped a friend in the racing industry. I thought, I'll give something else a crack, and I thought, wow, what opportunities here as well. And I thought, hang on, do I start my own training business? And then I got the itch. I got the itch a year and a half out of the industry. And I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I still had a restraint that I could not sort of operate in the area that I sold business in. And a close friend of mine in Port Douglas, Mark Flynn, was just about to open up his Ray White office, and I've been kind of his mentor over a period of time. And when I mentioned to him, I think I might come back, he's like a good salesman. He said, "Come up here and give me a hand." And I thought, "Can you give me 5 minutes?" So I consulted with the family, and it was let's give it a go. And I wasn't fearful of doing that because Port Douglas is where I travel, for all the holidays that I have. Any holidays that I have, it's been Port Douglas each year for the last 25 years. So I know the area well, know a lot of people there, and I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. And so I went up there, and I thought, I'll just come back every week or every 2 weeks. I'll just keep travelling back and forward. Well, arrived there May 21, was it? And of course, COVID and the lockdowns, all the borders.
What a place to be locked down.
I was locked in. So I had to make a call, do I come back or do I stay there hoping that the lockdown will only be a month or a few weeks? So made that call. Well, we were, the borders were shut for 5.5 months. So that...
Your family was still here or there?
Here.
Oh.
Very confronting.
Yeah.
I love, my son plays for Aberfeldy, played for VFL Essendon, and I had to watch him on the screen. And I'm not great at technology at all, so somebody was always wiring up the TV so I could watch it live stream it. Tears running down my eyes. It was a tough bloody time. It really was. But we got through that, and Christmas came around that year, and I was able to get back home. Stayed up for another 5 or 6 months travelling, and when I decided I was ready to come back home, it was a tough call. Good real estate up there. There was no auction, so helped Mark build his business and the brand to what it is today, and he's just
doing really well.
Fantastic office. Auctions, 7 or 8 every weekend. He's absolutely firing. So I said I need to come back home, and to his disappointment in the teams, Dan White and Brian White found out that I was coming back home, and they flew me up to Sydney and said, we'd love for you to work at corporate for us in Melbourne. Would you do that? And
how was a corporate gig for? Not something you've done before, as such?
Yeah, look, it was very good, but I just could see so much potential. I was learning so much and so much that I
and
gave
you've got the
back.
itch as well. It's hard to look from afar.
Yeah.
You just like, I want to get in there.
It is, and my role was kind of, I said to Dan, what would you like me to do? And he said, well, just do what you wish. Just a lovely family and a great business. And so that's what I did. I went to offices and helped directors and principals see.
It's been very good to see all these different businesses, successful businesses, and what's working, what's not. Your insight would have been phenomenal.
It was, Rex and Chanell. I learnt, I went into a lot of offices and made some suggestions and ideas, but at the same time, some of the offices were struggling, but had some great ideas that I never was able to implement or didn't think of it. So I've learnt a lot along the journey, but I'd like to think that I've left a bit behind.
Milo, you were a living legend. The feedback that we got from Ray White business owners that Milo is coming into our office today to train. Milo's working they were honoured to have you as part of the business. When returning back after a break, real estate can be an incredible industry, but can also be a very unforgiving industry. How have you felt the reception coming back?
Oh, pretty emotional last night. I knew a fair few people in the crowd, and a few hugs and a few kisses. So how have I found it a few days in has been overwhelming.
Can we rewind, because we haven't mentioned that part yet?
We haven't gone into that yet. No.
So you work corporate, now you've gone and got your own office. Gone back into actually listing, selling, managing, growing.
I think there's a few sweaty hands in Essendon, Milo.
And you've gone to an independent. Talk us through
Yes,
this.
sure. Paul McDonald and Cheryl Upton have been stalwarts in the area of the city of Moonee Valley for, is it 33, 34, 35 years. So they went out, they were part of a powerful brand called Anderson's, and Neil G. Anderson's Real Estate. So they went out on their own some years ago, about 19 or so. And whilst we were competitors, always respected Paul and Cheryl, and they were just, that favourites, popular saying at the moment, stayed in their lane. She ran the property management section, he ran the sales department, and always admired, the way they did business. So, long story short, Paul and Cheryl decided to sell their business, and Joe Zucco and I got together and said, this would be a good opportunity, I think, for me to come back into a business like that. And the good news is that Paul and Cheryl are staying in the business, and whilst we've bought their shares, if you like, or bought the business, they remain a very, very important part of, or settlement in fact is a couple of weeks away. But they will remain.
By the time this airs, you would have settled, been
yes,
up and running.
yeah. So they will be an integral part of what our plans are for the future, and that is just happy staff, happy clients, have some fun, make a little bit of money along the way, and watch people's careers, career paths grow and develop.
After the experience that you've had with obviously growing a monstrous business and the stresses and the trials and tribulations that come with that, what's your plan for McDonald Upton? Are you wanting to create a mega office, or are you...
It's already a pretty big office.
Well, you know what I mean, the growth plan, or are you sort of wanting to prioritise peace and health, or can you combine the both? Do you feel you're ready?
Well, I think I've matured a lot more, and I think I'm a lot more patient, Chanell. So, but easy does it as it was the case with my previous journey. So, would I do something completely different? No, as I said, I think just support the guys. Look at, I've come into the office and already see so much potential. Not that my way is always the right way, but I do like to trial different things and implement.
But Milo, it's not just your way. You've been across not just one office that you grew to a mega. You've seen all of the Ray White offices, all of so many different offices. You've seen what works and what hasn't worked.
Yeah, I have.
And to implement that into an office is a powerful tool.
It is. So my biggest challenge, I think, with the business now will be I know where I want it to be, and I know it's going to work really well.
Can you share that with us?
Well, where do I want it to be? I want it to be an office of one of first choice when someone's thinking of listing their property for rent, or for tenants looking to, or renter is looking, for a property to rent. That we can be a place and a business that they feel comfortable in being heard, respected, followed up, responded to, and in sales the same. If someone's thinking of selling or buying in the area, that we're top of mind. Who's the best? Who's better than someone else? Let the community decide.
For you to start that with talking about property management over sales is a sentiment, and talking about tenants, not necessarily just landlords, shows your view on it is.
And the team, not me. It's not it's not about you, it's about the business.
Look, guys, I think it's a simple business and a simple industry. It just requires a lot of hours on the job to be successful, but it's a simple business.
I think it's a simple business if you have the right people behind you. The right group, the right people, the right support, but as well as that, the right support outside of work as well. The right family, the right friends, the right people around you. If you have all of those, it's life, work, it can be a lot simpler.
Yeah, the jigsaw puzzle just forms itself almost. So that's what I'm looking forward to is just embracing the staff. That's my new family, and they're in for a good time. And
just recently, after 4+ years, you called your first auction back in your old neighbourhood.
Yeah,
How did it feel?
I choked a little bit at the start, really. I did. I think what just came back to me was the time that I've been out, although it hadn't seemed that long, but certainly walking out and seeing the large crowd and the anticipation was pretty moving.
Tears or emotions?
Afterwards, yeah. Afterwards there were, but I had to remain professional for a period of time, and of course happened to be my first auction back, and a very big heckler at the beginning, very disruptive, so I was ready for it.
No better way than to go straight into the deep end,
I was
right?
ready for it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
The Milo standing here today for some parting words. What advice would you be giving to young Milo? So we've got a 33-year-old agent right now that's working to the bone, potentially getting to the point of burnout. If you're sitting here talking to yourself at that age, and you're at the brink of your career, but also at the brink of potentially, burning out, what advice would you give?
Yeah, good question, Chanell. Very good question. I feel that you need to reach out. I felt that I was Superman. I felt that my way was always the right way, and that was work, keep driving, you must win, I must win. I must take care of this monster, I must take care of the staff. We've got a list, we've got to sell, we've got a list, we've got to sell, keep doing the hours. And I didn't turn to anybody that's been there, done that. And I don't do many of these gigs, if you like, at all. And I respect you guys greatly, and that's why I'm here. So it's to share to those who are perhaps listening, and if you feel a bit this way, is, you know, reach out. And I know that kind of words we hear a bit, reach out to who? Reach out, my phone's always available. My phone's available, somebody else that's been an achiever, if you like, or has hit a wall, or has, you know, has achieved what, you know, you'd like to achieve, and just asking, you know, what to look out for, what not to look out for. I look back now, and perhaps I should have had a mentor or a buddy that I could turn to every Friday morning or every, you know, Thursday afternoon, sit for an hour or two and say, right, this is what's happened this week. I feel burnt out. Can you give me a bit of guidance? Or at least just cry on someone's shoulder that knows what you're going through.
Understands it.
I strongly encourage those who are aspiring, you know, to become great agents and high income earning agents, principals that want to grow their office. Reach out to those that have been there, done that. Usually it's for free. That's what I would encourage people to do.
That's wonderful. Well, Milo, did you have something you needed to say?
I was going to thank you. I know this is probably the first interview you've done in 10 years, maybe?
And it took a lot. I know it's not something you wanted to do.
I don't know.
It's
not, but you're one of the most genuine, emotional, like, you know, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and anyone that has the pleasure to know you, actually know you, would vouch for that. So thank you for taking time out, being so genuine and raw with us today, and being on camera.
We're very excited to see the future
we
of
are.
McDonald Upton and
Watch
where
out.
you lead that team.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
Thanks for
you,
the
Milo.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching another episode of Real Estate Renovators.